Okay, well, good morning, everyone online. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be doing a webinar with BGL, CAS 360 and FYI. My name's Lily Williams and I'm the Partnerships Manager at BGL. Today, I'm joined by Tony, National Sales Manager NZ at FYI. And we've also got Jess, Business Development Manager at BGL. A bit of housekeeping before we get started. The session will be recorded. If you do miss anything or you need to jump off early, you will receive a link to rewatch the webinar at a later date. And we do also post the webinar recordings onto our YouTube channel with our other partner webinars. Okay, so we've got FYI joining us. FYI was built by accountants for accountants, and they understand the day-to-day challenges you face better than anyone. They know the complexities of your workflow and the demands of managing clients, documents, tasks, and your practice. That's why they've created a purpose-built platform that automates document and practice management. It's smart, simple, and intuitive, taking care of repetitive menial tasks so you can take control of your work, time, and client relationships. FYI aren't changing what accountants do. They're changing how it's done. Simpler, smarter, faster, and secure, leaving you with more time for more so that you can focus on the things that really matter. Today, we'll be showcasing a short demo of CAS 360, and then we'll see how the FYI integration works within that platform. We do also have the Q&A function available. So as we are going through the sessions, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A. And towards the end of the webinar, we will answer all your questions. So Jess, I will hand things over to you.
Thanks, Lily. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join today's webinar. My name is Jess, and I'm the Business Development Manager for BGL New Zealand. It's great to have you all here. So before we dive in, we'd like to kick things off with a quick poll. So just to help us better understand your background, and I can tailor the flow for our demo to make it more relevant and valuable for you. Let's get that started now. Lily, do you think you can help me share that poll, please? Thank you.
Can you all see the poll questions?
Perfect. So I guess we'll take like maybe 10 more seconds to do this poll and we'll dive into it. Wow, interesting. I think everyone agrees about time-consuming processes as one of their biggest challenges. Right. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the poll now. All right. Thanks again for participating in that poll. So let's dive into CAS 360. So if you haven't heard about CAS 360 yet, it was actually built by our team at BGL to help accounting firms like you to basically save time, which as you shared earlier, which is your biggest challenge at the moment. And so yeah, we want you to reduce the manual effort that is involved in compliance work. So hopefully when you start using like the software, no more manually filling out multiple forms, even updating multiple Excel sheets or chasing paperwork across different systems. Also, the ultimate goal behind CAS is really to create a seamless workflow. So, you're not constantly bouncing between 3 to 5 different apps just to get one task done. And we're proud to have built a strong ecosystem of integrations that supports this. So with document management, we are proud to be integrated with FYI, hence we're having this webinar today. So allow me to share my CAS 360 and I can give you like just a quick demo of what we have in the software. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my my screen, my CAS 360 screen.
Yep.
Right. Perfect. Thanks, Lily. So what you're able to see right now is the home page. So by the way, in CAS, we have 4 main modules. So the companies where you file your annual returns, do share transfers, maintain your registers like share transfers, director interest, and so on. Second one is company name reservation and registration. And then the third one is trust, and fourth one is AML, right? So I'm just going to quickly show you how you file an annual return through the software. So you go to returns here, right? And then you'll be able to see the companies that you are authorized for. And then in CAS 360, you can even do like bulk filing of annual returns, like say per month, or if it's due, or you can also do a single selection, which I'm going to do now. So I'm going to select this company here and then click on prepare documents. And as you can see here, if you click on annual return, the company annual return document has automatically been generated for you. So you don't have to go outside of the system to be able to see this. And what you do, like you can review it as well, but what you can do now is simply send it to your client directly from the software. And what's good as well, if you are using like any a digital signing that is integrated with us as well, then any signed copies that is any documents signed by your clients will also flow into your CAS 360. So now you may be wondering, so how does the integration with FYI work? So what happens is that this document, once you've saved it or once the signed copy flows into CAS 360, it will also flow into your FYI. So I think the sync is being done daily as well. So with that, I'm gonna hand over to Tony to share more about how it's gonna be looking like in your integration. Over to you, Tony. Thank you.
Apologies. Excellent. So yeah, little quick overview. So FYI was born out of Adelaide, Australia, around about 7 years ago now. And we came to the market with the first fully cloud-enabled document management system. And there's a real gap in the marketplace at the time. There were other document repository solutions, but nothing that had that full end-to-end document management flow. We also came to market with all of the functions and features that some of the more robust legacy desktop systems of the day had. But what really changed the frame of how we presented our value to the accounting marketplace was the introduction of process automation. So I like to say that bringing FYI into your practice is like bringing a little team of robotic assistants. And what they love to do are the low value, repetitive manual tasks that accounting firms are doing over and over again each day, week, month, and even year across all of the different processes that you run. Around about 18 months ago, we brought the first fully cloud-enabled practice management system into the cloud that again has a lot of the additional features and sophistication that some of the more legacy systems of the day had. So that's called Elite. But today we're just going to focus on the document management and process automation side of it because that's all you need to run with the integration with BGL. So just a little bit of background, we've grown pretty quickly over that time. We have over 1,700 practices on board across New Zealand, Australia, and also the UK. Here in little old New Zealand, I like to give our stats. We've got about 230 practices as clients, which we really love. Over this time, we've migrated almost 1 billion documents from many different platforms into FYI, and we have around 34,000 users globally that log on every single day. We're also a nice open platform as well. We love to play nicely with others. So as you can see, we're deeply integrated with the Microsoft suite because we know how much accountants love things like Excel, Word, and of course Outlook. And we've got deep integrations with that app stack. You'll see in the light gray area there, we also integrate with a range of different practice management solutions. So if you are on a slightly older solution and you'd like to take a bit of a stepping stone approach into the cloud, FYI is a fantastic first project to get you started, get arguably a large part of your practice into the cloud quite quickly and easily. But then also we've got a growing list of app partners, and you'll see there we've got CAS 360 in the middle. We love working deeply and building deep integrations with other solutions. Whatever we can do to help accountants save time, we're all for it. So let's have a little quick look into the software now, just so you can get an understanding of what FYI looks like. So what you'll see here is I've logged in through my internet browser, as you'd expect with a cloud app, and I'm brought into my home page. So for your users, it's a really nice way to start your day, but just some key concepts. all of your different document types are stored in the system, whether it be emails, Word documents, spreadsheets, but even phone call notes and meeting notes. And we like the homepage as a nice way to start your day, and you can pick up and keep working with any of those documents or clients. We also know accountants are very task and to-do list driven. So you can also have your digital to-do list inside your system alongside your clients, your jobs, and your documents. But what's really important with tasks is as accountants, often we're asking other people in the office to do things for us and we lose visibility. So you've got the ability to see your delegated tasks as well, which is really important. Now, as well as having all of our team members and our clients in the system, we also pull all of your jobs in from your designated practice management system. Because as you'd expect, when you're looking to store documents, you want to be able to go into a job and see all of the different source documents, emails, and phone calls about that specific job. So they're all in the system as well. And we've designed some of our user interfaces to give you a really robust job workflow process as well. So you can see here that as a user, these are the jobs that are currently allocated to me in my practice management system. So I can quickly jump into those jobs. I can also see things like the financial data and of course, all of the documents that go with it. And I'll take you there in just a moment. So as an individual user, I've got these workspaces, which are really handy. If I'm more in the admin team, I've got all of the clients pulling through from my practice management system. And for most systems, it's a shared list. So you only have to update your client database once. That'll all flow nicely into FYI. And we pull as much information as we can about your clients so that we can do things like run more effective integrations and also run automations. You've also got all of your jobs in the system at a holistic level. So again, you can run some very detailed workflow different dashboards here, including a really nice Kanban board for those that love the idea of having job card views to manipulate their workflow. And we bring across everything, including all of your document templates, into a knowledge cabinet. So really quickly, let's see how I can work on a client. I can type all or part of the file name, and you'll see I can jump to the family group, see all of the clients, all the documents across the group. I can go into a particular entity, or I can go into a particular job. So let's just quickly come down and jump into a particular client here. So in the client workspace, I can see all of the client details pulling through from the practice management system in one place. I've got single click access to do things like create emails and even create phone call notes or make the phone call if I've got an IP phone system. And of course, I've got all of the documents across the whole client stored in the system as well. Once I'm in a client, I can jump quickly into a job. So you can see here, I've got a job drop-down list. I'm going a little bit deeper into this client now. If I choose the annual 2024 job as an example, I can just see all of the different documents, source documents, phone call notes, and work papers saved against this particular job. So the reason this is relevant is when we start looking at our integration with BGL, this documents tab at client level and job level is where the documents are actually going to automatically sync into. But the last really crucial part about FYI is our robotic process automation. As I said, you've got a little robotic assistant helping you every day. If you can find ways to utilize that robot, it's going to free up considerable time for you to do the things that you love to do as a chartered accountant, which is probably spend more time working with clients, solving more complex problems, and giving better advice. So as an example of an automation, I'm going to jump into a different member of the Simpson family group. Let's jump into Maggie Simpson. So let's say Maggie Simpson is fairly new to our practice. We work with Homer and Marge and the rest of the Simpson family group, but we've finally got Maggie to come along and we're now going to become the Simpson family office. So part of bringing Maggie across, of course, is I now need to onboard her. So she would have probably been in my system as a prospect. I'm now working through her and we're going to do things like working with BGL on the other parts of the setup. But what I might want to do first is just to quickly get the onboarding underway. So often in an onboarding process, you're drafting lots of emails, you're drafting lots of documents, you're routing those documents around the office for review and approval. Documents are going out to the client, you're requesting more documents to come back in, you're contacting the previous accountant, requesting more information to come from that way. So it's a very lengthy process involving multiple stakeholders. But at the end of the day, it's still quite standardized. Lots of the documents are based on templates. We generally ask for the same information for the same entity types. So it's actually an example of a process that is ripe for automation. So at FYI, we've already helped with building a library of over 40 of these common types of automations to get you started. We've also got automations that run on the back of integrations like the one that we've got with BGL. So just as one really quick example, with Maggie Simpson, I can go into the processes area and I can elect to run a process. So let's say I went to run the new onboarding process and I can just simply click run. What that does is it kicks the robot into gear. Our robots look for work around every 5 seconds or so, and you can see that the robot's already got started. So I've just come in behind the scenes here to show you really quickly what an automation looks like under the bonnet. So we're kind of looking at the engine because, to be honest, the front end is just the robot creating the documents, creating tasks, and routing them to the right people. But I find this view is a much better way to get an understanding of how automations work in FYI. So what we can see here is it's a 14-step process. Now, as part of bringing this template into your practice, you can tailor it really quickly and easily. And the key point is you don't have to be a software developer to do this. It's a no-code solution, or as I like to say it, the robots speak plain English. So in this example, we've got the robots to do things like create spreadsheets. So the robot can go up to my knowledge cabinet and grab the spreadsheet that I've identified, save it down for this client. It can personalize that document using merge fields, and it can also route that document to someone in my team to check. It can then also create emails, again, based on templates. And those templated emails normally have merge fields, so they can become really personalized for my selected client. So it's generated the email, personalized it with merge fields, and it's saved it down into the system, ready to send. It's then also been programmed to attach the spreadsheet that we just created. So the two systems working really closely together there. Now this email could be routed, as I said, to someone to check, but if the document doesn't really change and it's already been personalized with merge fields, and the email doesn't really change and it's already been personalized, I can actually get quite comfortable with the robot actually sending this out to the client. Now, the key point here is when we get the robot to send emails on behalf, it can impersonate someone in your practice. So it's going to go out of a real person's sent items and Outlook. They'll be able to see those emails have gone out. But most importantly, if Maggie has a question, she can just simply hit reply to that email, and it's going to a real person inside our practice, which is really important. Moving down here, we love the idea of automation. We love the idea of AI across practices, but I think one of our fears is losing control. So we've been really sensitive about that with FYI, and we've got what we call an example of a blocking task here. So this third step you can see has a little red train icon. That's telling the robot, stop at this station because I need to get one of my team involved. Now what the team will do is either A, do something that the robots or the AI can't yet do, or B, check the progress of what we've done through the automation to date to make sure it's complete and it's comprehensive so that we're comfortable that we can move on and we can get maximum benefit from the rest of the automation. So in this example here, we've got a little task that's gone to the practice manager, asking them to look at the information that's been sent through a secure portal in FYI from Maggie with all of that extra information we requested on the email. She can drag and drop it through the portal, and then she can go and double check that information. She can add additional fields and features into FYI. So for example, she might capture the previous accountant's name and the previous accountant's email address, because we're going to utilize that a little bit later in the automation. So Amanda goes through and does this, and then she can actually tick this task off as being complete. Now, by virtue of Amanda and my admin team doing that, the robot's looking for work every 5 seconds or so. So between 5 and 30 seconds, an automation can run through the entire rest of that process because they have no more blocking tasks. So what we can see here is that within 2 cycles, our robotic process automation has done the rest of this process. So let's just quickly look at what it's done. It's drafted other documents like the end of engagement letter in a Word format. It's drafted other emails and again attached those documents, and it's forwarded those documents to people in my team to review through that task mechanism I touched on earlier. It's also drafted up the letter to the previous accountant using the information that we entered into the practice management system and drafted up an email as well. Now, something like this is quite sensitive, so we don't necessarily just want it going straight out. In fact, if we're sending something to another accountant, we should probably get the director to have a quick look at it first. So again, the robot can automatically allocate this and put it into an approval list for a director to check and approve before it then gets emailed out. And then we just look across the rest of the process and see we've got different tasks to be done by different people at different times. Now, the robot can set up the first task, and when that's ticked off, it can create the second task. Or in this example, we've identified that all of these tasks can be done consecutively by different people in the office. So let's just create them all now, and let's get them on people's to-do list to start working through. The robot can also be asked just to be patient. So in this example, you're onboarding a new client, your team are going to start working on the compliance work, you're going to be working within BGL, getting some of that documentation done. So we don't want to clutter people's to-do lists with other important activities that might need to be done in a few weeks' time. So what I've done is I've asked the robot to wait 4 weeks. And in this example, I'm then going to get it to create a task for the director who brought this client on board and just give them a bit of a task to do a check-in call to Maggie. Or alternatively, I could get the robot to go back to my email templates, grab a just checking in email, draft it all up, make it look like it's been drafted by the partner and send that out automatically. So what we're starting to see here is FYI's ability to go beyond the borders of a traditional document management system and start helping us with important tasks like CRM and giving our clients a lot more love and a better experience without having to spend much more time on it ourselves as individuals within a practice. So that's just a very quick overview of all of the main components, and they flow in quite nicely for what we'll touch on now, which is the automation and the integration. So let's have a quick look at that now. So moving on, let's have a look and a bit of a chat about the integration. Now, this is just going to be at a very high level, just to show you that it's very quick and easy to get these set up. Of course, after today's session, if you're an existing FYI user, you can go into the help function to find more information on this. And I'm also going to give you a plug to a resource of a webinar that we recorded a bit earlier in the year that showed some really exciting automations you can do in FYI once the integration's been set up that we don't have time to run through today. So really quickly, why do we love integrations? It's simply because as awesome as two systems can be, like CAS 360 and FYI, they create far more synergy when they're connected together. So anything that we can do working with really good app partners to save time for accounting firms, we're all for that. So what we're trying to avoid here are challenges like having documents stored in multiple places, because obviously that slows things down when you're trying to find something. We believe that FYI should be your holistic document repository for all forms of client communication across the practice in one place. And of course, you can use security profiles to determine who can see which documents based on their role, etc. It then also gets around that problem of a lack of visibility. Again, using a combination of having your documents in one place, the tasks associated with the key actions around those documents all in one place, means it's really clear for everyone in the firm to see what they need to do at the right time related to different projects across different systems. It also means you can manage your app logins as well. You may not necessarily want your team to be jumping between different apps throughout the day. So if you can just keep them in one or two tools, but understand that the data they need and the associated documents with those processes will end up in the core system, again, it makes it much easier to manage from a systems administration point of view. So just some keynotes on getting the integration set up. First and foremost is we have really three main points of data between the two systems that we reconcile, and we need all three to match to enable the data synchronization to work successfully. So the first thing is that we do need the client to be set up against your New Zealand Companies Office agent, and the New Zealand business ID needs to match between both systems. We also need an identical match between client names between the two systems as well. So you can't just have a different name between the two. The synchronization will recognize those as different clients and it won't enable the sync. So what it does mean though, from a troubleshooting perspective, is if you get the integration set up and it's not quite working, these are generally the three main suspects that you can quickly check and reconcile really quickly. Now we want to make setting up integrations as easy as possible. So again, we've put a lot of time into FYI to make it easy for your system administrators to set up an automation. You simply go into the automation library and you go to our list of app partners, and you'll hopefully see in the middle column there, almost dead center, we've got BGL. So you can go into that, and then it's basically just a set of going through and configuring some information. So you're going to click connect, and then you're going to go through an authentication process, putting in a few key pieces of information about BGL that's going to enable the integration between the two systems. Now, once it's set up, the documents are going to synchronize on a daily basis, which I'll touch on in a moment. But again, we give you a bit of control over which documents synchronize and I guess the breadth of them. So for example, you have a choice to do all of the preparation work around the documents in BGL and get the signing process initiated from BGL as well, and have it set so that only when the documents are signed are they then synchronized through into FYI. So that's one option. Equally, you have the other option to get the documents to come through from BGL into FYI much earlier in the process. And that allows you to potentially run different automations in FYI and also run the digital signing out of FYI. So again, there's no, I guess, recommendation either way. It's more a reflection of what your practice prefers to do. You can look at both options. You can switch between the two partway through. So again, we're just all around supporting what is the best workflow and your practice's idea of best practice. There's also the ability to determine when the synchronization starts. So the first time you turn this on, you can actually backdate it and it will pull through historical documents into FYI as part of the initial sync. And then if something goes wrong, you can also reset the synchronization as well. So we've got all of the troubleshooting areas of this set up pretty well. So again, it's a very robust integration between the two systems. And the last thing is you can connect multiple agents to the same system as well if you need to. So once you've got the integration set up, you're then going to use one of those automations that I touched on. And again, we have a library of over 40 automations pre-built for the most common things that practices look to streamline through robotic process automation. And you can see here, we've got one already set up for your BGL corporate documents. So once you've got the integration set up, we just run a very simple one-step automation to help that process go even further. Again, this is available on both the Pro and the Elite plan with FYI. So basically what we do is we set up a configuration so that when the documents come through, the automation knows where to put them. So again, it's very simple. For those who know automations, this will be a little bit of bread and butter for you. But as I touched on earlier, there's a whole workshop that I'll refer you to on the back of this that can take you through more detail. But again, you go into the automations area, and this time we're going to go to the processes area rather than the apps, and we're going to select the BGL integration. And from there, again, ignore the fact that this is ASIC. We're going to touch on the New Zealand side of it, but the setup's exactly the same. So first of all, we get a control over who owns this process in FYI. This person is kind of like the administrator. If for some reason this automation stops working or there's a problem with how it's set up, in this example, Mandy's going to get notified. So it's not just going to be left to fall into some little hole that no one knows about. And basically, we just go through and configure a one-step process to import the BGL documents and then to file them in the appropriate location. So for example, in FYI, we have the concept of different cabinets. So you could set up a specific BGL/corporate affairs type cabinet. You may have an existing cabinet in FYI that you're happy for these documents to go into. So again, you can see here we've got full control over how much information is pre-filled against those documents as they're synchronized through. You can also see that through that little merge field there, we retain the original file name from BGL, which is important. If you're looking to reconcile between the two systems, the documents will have the exact same names against the same clients. Now, for those who know a little bit more about automations, as I've touched on, when the robot does something, it can send a task, it can send comments to other people to notify people in the practice that the automation's done something. As you'll see in the other workshop, if you're interested in this, you've got a few choices here. If you're just bringing through the signed documents, it's probably a good idea to then have the robot notify someone that the documents have come through for that particular client. And again, you've got full control over which role in the practice gets that note. But if you're bringing through that second idea where we bring through all documents from BGL and you do a bit more of the manual processing and signing in our system, you probably don't want to be notified every time a single document comes through because it's a little bit, I guess, higher volume and probably less valuable information at that time. So integration tips. The documents sync through between the two systems once a day at 6 a.m. daily New Zealand time. If you do go through and re-prepare some forms in BGL, just know that those new documents will also be synchronized through. They get different document IDs, so they are treated as different documents by the integration. And as I've touched on earlier, there's some pretty valuable troubleshooting if the documents don't come through. In addition to those 3 items I touched on earlier, there's also a practice tab that we can go into, and that shows us more information from a technical perspective about what's happening with an automation. And if there's something wrong, as we said earlier, it'll notify the person who owns the automation to have a closer look at it. So again, if you've come to the session today and you're an existing FYI and BGL user and you're going, well, this is great, but I've got some really cool ideas for automations, how I can, once the documents are in the system, I'd love to go even further with using my little robotic assistant. We recorded a similar webinar back in February, and thanks again to Lily for putting this one together. And in this session, our Head of Client Success, Cassie, goes through around about 10 to 15 minutes of some other examples of how we can then drive further automated processes off the back of those documents coming through. So just some examples there, using corporate affairs merge fields in email templates. So as well as having merge fields from within your practice management system, because we're now connected to BGL, you can also synchronize other pieces of data from BGL and use those in the body of emails and other documents, which is really handy. And just some other examples of processes that you might now put a few extra steps in or drive off the back of the BGL integration coming through. So again, Easy way to find that, just simply go to YouTube, either look up the BGL Corporate Solutions channel, or as you can see here, just type in BGL FYI and it'll take you to the right location. If you are not using FYI, but you like what you've seen today and you'd like to learn more, as part of the follow-up information for the session, we'll be sharing these slides and some other, I guess, collateral, and you'll be able to scan one of our QR codes to either learn more about FYI, or if you're an existing user wanting to know more about these integrations or more about the Elite Practice Management System, you'll get access to scan those. So you don't have to get your phone out quite now. We'll be sharing that after the session today. So that's the end of my session. I'm now going to hand back to Lily to finish us off and take some questions.
Thanks so much, Tony. And thank you, Jess. That was great.